The study of theoretical language is composed of 5 main subfields, including phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. In this presentation, you will learn about each of these subfields, why they are important, and how they play out in everyday life. Phonology is the study of sound, including phonetics, production and perception of sounds, and phonics, sound in the context of reading. Anytime we talk about the sounds of language, either in hearing it, producing it, or understanding it, there are elements of phonology at play. The study of sounds forms the basis for most of the theory concerning reading and speaking. Because phonetics deals with a wide range of concepts regarding the production and perception of sounds, there are several categories within it, including articulatory phonetics, acoustic phonetics, and auditory phonetics. Articulatory phonetics has to do with the process of producing sounds in the mouth. A child who has a lisp, pronounces an S sound as TH, has an articulatory phonetic issue. She might need to work with a speech therapist to learn how to form the sound correctly. Acoustic phonetics deals with the actual sound waves themselves. Our ears pick up the sound waves, as long as we don't have difficulties perceiving waves at different frequencies. Deficits or injuries to the ear can cause problems with acoustic phonetics. If you ever had a cold and felt like your ears were plugged, which affected your ability to hear, that is an acoustic phonetics issue. Auditory phonetics involves the transmission of sound from the ear, where it is first picked up, to the brain, where it is processed and meaning is made. Another aspect of phonology is phonics, or sounds within the context of reading. Most people would define reading as the process of seeing and comprehending words, but in reality, reading is much more rooted in sound, since learning to read is a process of assigning a sound to each letter and combining those sounds to create a word. Morphology is the study of forms of words, including roots, base words, and affixes, prefixes, infixes, and suffixes. Whereas phonology deals with the study of the sounds of words, morphology concerns itself more with the meaning of words. Syntax, more commonly known as grammar, refers to the structure and order of words in sentences. Syntax in English is prescriptive, meaning that words in a sentence must occur in a certain order to be correct. In English, you say, "I love you," and it makes sense. If we were to switch up the syntax and say, "I you love," it is more difficult to understand. That said, "I you love" is the correct way to order words in Spanish, French, and many other Latin-based languages, because their language is not as syntax-dependent, opting instead to use conjugation to give meaning to words. Syntax is one of the most difficult parts of learning English, and even native speakers can struggle in it at times. Semantics refers to the study of the meanings of words, phrases, and sentences in the denotative sense. Denotation is the dictionary definition of a word, stripped of cultural implications. For instance, when you hear the sentence, "This is my house," you might picture a single-family house with windows, doors, etc. House is a denotative word which lacks any sort of cultural or emotional baggage. Compare that to the sentence, "This is my home." While the definition may be the same, single-family house with windows, doors, etc., you might also assign some feeling to the structure. Maybe you get a sense of warmth knowing that this is where a family lives and raises their children. Once you start to assign that meaning, it is no longer a denotative statement because there is emotion that goes along with it. Pragmatics refers to the study of language in the connotative sense and how it is used in social situations. It is closely connected to semantics, but deals with the meaning of words when combined with emotion and context. According to the American Speech Language Hearing Association, pragmatics has 3 main branches of study. 1. using language for different purposes such as greeting, hello, goodbye, informing, I'm going to get a cookie, demanding, give me a cookie, promising, I'm going to get you a cookie, requesting, I would like a cookie, please. 2. Changing language according to the needs of a listener or situation, such as talking differently to a baby than to an adult, giving background information to an unfamiliar listener, speaking differently in a classroom than on a playground. 3. Following rules for conversations and storytelling, such as taking turns in conversation, introducing topics of conversation, staying on topic, rephrasing when misunderstood, how to use verbal and nonverbal signals, how close to stand to someone when speaking, how to use facial expressions and eye contact. Most of the time, these 5 categories of language study work in concert with each other and interchange seamlessly. Here is an example of that in real life. A 9th grade class is studying Romeo and Juliet. In the play, Romeo's cousin, Mercutio, engages in a sword fight with Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, and eventually dies. When Romeo originally teases him that his wound is not serious, he replies, "No, 'tis not so deep as a well, nor so wide as a church door. But 'tis enough. 'Twill serve. Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man." Act 3, Scene 1, line 1601. First, students use their understanding of the sounds to create words, phonology, to read the message. Next, students study the construction of the words, morphology, to decipher that the words contracted for poetic effect, tis, twill, are shortened versions of it is and it will. The order of the words in the sentences, syntax, give meaning to the phrases. English is a syntactical language, and words must be in a specific order to make sense. If the words were in a different order, they would not have the same meaning as they are presented here. In terms of semantics, when Mercutio says, "Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man," on the surface, his meaning is that he is serious. Denotative meaning of the adjective grave. Lastly, pragmatically, when he says, "Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man," his true meaning is that he is dying, and tomorrow will be in a grave. Connotative meaning of the noun grave. There is humor in his words, and Romeo understands that, while joking, Mercutio is making a point about the seriousness of his wound. Language is all around us, and it is important to consider why a study of language is important. Students of language should understand the theoretical underpinnings of how language works and how it is applied in everyday life. Those concerned with language acquisition and development in children, like parents, teachers, school personnel, are particularly impacted by language study, and, in order to best serve those children, should understand how language works.